In the name of God, the compassionate, the merciful, hello everyone, and welcome to the new episode of the Fact series in which we discuss international political matters every week. This is Foad Mahdavi, and in this episode, I have the honor of being the host of Zeinab Mehanna, an author and human rights activist in the international arena. We are here to discuss the blockade of Gaza and the occupation of the West Bank following the corona crisis. Thank you for joining us, Zeinab, and good to be with you.
Thank you, sir, for having me on. It's my honor to be on your show and on your television, Vision Plus.
Thank you very much. For the first strike, let us have your rich words about Israel's human rights violations ranging from daily abuses to ethnic cleansing to genocidal thinking and action. Go ahead.
And I'm talking here about the Israeli occupation, which has caused spatial and political division in Palestine. I'm going to focus on three parts, which is Gaza, the West Bank, and Israel 1948. I just want the viewer to be aware of the fact that Gaza is the most populated area in the world, whereby in every kilometer there are 100,000 people residing there. So it's already a very difficult situation. Now, Gaza is ruled by Hamas. With the West Bank is partially ruled by the Palestinian Authority. The Israeli occupied areas, of which we call the 1948 Israel occupation, is controlled by the Zionist regime. Because of the occupation, it has, as I said earlier, it has created a very diverted division in Palestine. And this has affected the health sector, and therefore now we have three different health systems that exist now in Palestine. Concerning Gaza, and that's what I'm going to start with, as I said, Gaza is ruled by Hamas. However, it has been under an inhumane siege for the past 14 years. 85% of the people over there are unemployed. 95% of the water is undrinkable. The health staff only gets 30 to 40% of its salaries. The power is on for 8 hours a day, and then it's off for 8 hours a day, and so forth. 50% of the essential drugs is depleted. 62% of the laboratory is down to zero, meaning they don't have that essential equipment. What does that tell us about the pandemic at the moment, or coronavirus, or COVID-19? It tells us that first, they're unable to buy the PCR test to diagnose COVID-19. Number two, the shortage in personal protective equipment, which is PPE and ventilators, is very limited. So this is the situation in Gaza. In the West Bank, which is partially controlled by the Palestinian Authority, is again divided into three main areas. Area A, which is controlled by the Palestinian Authority, so-called controlled by the Palestinian Authority. Area B is controlled and divided between the Palestinian Authority and the Israeli occupation. Area C is 60% controlled, which is I'm talking about the West Bank, is fully controlled by the Israeli forces. Now, what is happening now during the COVID-19 or era is that while the world is so involved in trying to solve the problem of COVID-19, in this area, and I'm talking about Area C, the more land is being annexed with the help of the current U.S. System. or administration. And I'm referring to what Pompeo and Trump are doing. So a lot of land is being annexed.
Yes.
And the third part is Israel 1948. This is, as I said, is totally occupied and controlled by the Zionist regime. What is happening during this era, it has been happening before, but what is happening now, whereby everybody is totally involved and deviated and thinking about COVID-19, there is more Judaization of Jerusalem, meaning more houses are being demolished, more arrests are taking place, imposition of extreme taxes, the efforts to eliminate UNRWA is taking place. So this is what is really taking place. The situation is not that good at all. This is what I can tell you. This is, in my opinion, what's happening in the occupied Palestine.
As you mentioned, Israel has committed many crimes in Gaza, and the recent decision to the annexation of the West Bank to Israel is one of those crimes on behalf of the evil regime. What do you think about the importance of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip for Israel?
Geopolitically, first of all, it's a part of the whole Palestine. When we talk about the West Bank, we're also talking about Jordan. Okay? When we talk about Gaza, we're talking about the sea. It's open to the sea. So again, it's very geopolitical. And importance is that they're trying to create a division between the people, the Hamas, and the Palestinian Authority. And so, yes, it is a very important thing. It's very, it is sort of demoralizes the Palestinians, because then they can see that, and at the moment they can see that Hamas and the Palestinian authorities are not agreeing about a lot of things. So it has caused spatial and political division in Palestine.
Great. Gaza has experienced a variety of sanctions for more than 14 years due to the closure of communication routes with other part of the world. And now with the outbreak of the coronavirus due to the high population density in Gaza and also the lack of health facilities, it seems that a humanitarian crisis is to be on the way. Please inform us about the consequences of these sanctions in this critical status.
You've sort of summed it up. It is true, and as I said earlier, 40 years of inhumane siege. I'm talking about a very small area that is totally overpopulated, and as I said, it's the most populated area in the world. Now, when we talk about social distancing, I mean, you go all over the news. Everybody says you have to observe social distancing. How can you observe social distancing in the most populated area in the world? It is impossible. And that means there is a large possibility of people getting affected, either being transmitters of the disease or being affected from others. When we say that there is no water, or 95% of the water is undrinkable, that means there is a problem with the water. The most important things that all health specialists inform us is that we should be washing our hands or or disinfecting our areas continuously. Palestinians cannot do that in Gaza. When we talk about disinfectants and the use of medication, when you don't have 50% of the essential drugs, or the drugs are depleted, then how do you expect the rate of COVID-19 to go less? Actually, it will increase. Now, we don't even have ventilators, I don't know if they have even ventilators, but special kind of ventilators. But if they don't have the PCR tests and the PPEs, then I think it's a tragedy. I think what is happening is beyond our imagination.
Exactly. The lifting of the drug and food sanctions on Gaza actually, and the sending of medical supplies to the region could be pursued as a joint request by various countries and organizations. Do you think it will happen soon?
We only hope, but what could be done is that expose the image of the criminality of the Israeli occupation through, for example, your program or other support grassroots globally. Like we should support grassroots globally and ask them to sort of pursue this. Maybe something might happen. Maybe. I personally do not see light in the future. I'm not very optimistic about it. I'm sorry. I'm not optimistic. If the Palestinians are not united themselves, this is going to make the issue pretty hard. They have to unite with the issues. The Arabs. I mean, look what's happening now, whereby every other Arab country is seeking normalization with Israel. This will have tremendous effect on the Palestinians and on their status. So unless a miracle happens, I don't know what is, what's the future, what lies ahead.
Okay, but you are pessimistic in this case.
Very pessimistic, but since Imam Khomeini, God bless his soul, has asked for Yawm al-Quds, which is the last Friday of the last Friday of the holy month of Ramadan. What has happened since then? Can somebody tell me what has happened since then? I mean, it is important that we call out such things. It is important that we work. It is important that we support the Palestinians. But the Palestinians have to unite together. And the Arabs and the Muslim countries have to come up with a decision to help and support the Palestinians inside the occupied areas. I'm not only, I hope I'm not giving a bad impression of the Palestinians. I'm just saying that it's not only the responsibility doesn't lie upon them only, but it lies upon all the Muslims around the world and everybody who's got any sense of humanity in him or responsibility or, sense of empathy towards the people of Palestine.
Exactly. And how do you see the role of the U.S. in this case?
We can see what has happened with the current U.S. administration. The first thing that Trump did is that he actually kept his promise that he made at the AIPAC. Unlike his previous or predecessors presidents who give their promise at AIPAC to realize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, he actually kept his promise, and that is the first blow, and not only in the face of the Palestinians. May I just refer that it's not a blow in the face of the Palestinians. It is the blow in the face of humanity, and in particular in the face of the Muslims themselves, not the Palestinians only. The Muslims, because nothing has happened that has happened up till this minute.
In my perspective, the Americans believe that they can carry out any sort of project and conspiracy in the region with the help of Israelis. And the outline of the deal of the century is one of those strategic mistakes. What do you think about it?
This is an arrogant entity that speaks very loud and hurts and even kills a lot of people. Not only hurts, but it kills a lot of people. However, with the advent of COVID-19, this great military power has proven to be very vulnerable itself. They can't even control their own hospitals. They can't even have masks. This so-called first world country don't even have the appropriate Medicare system. I advise the Americans to take care of themselves before adventing or having their own weird adventures into the Middle East and other peaceful countries. They might try again. They might do some things. I'm not ruling it out, but I'm aware and I'm sure that Hezbollah in Lebanon, I'm sure that the Houthis in Yemen, I'm sure that the Iranian forces, the IRGC, the Sepah, the Artesh in Iran is strong enough. I'm sure the Hashd al-Shabi, the popular mobilization movement in Iraq, will be standing there waiting for them. I don't think they can advance more. They will try. I'm sure that they will try, but I'm sure that they will fail.
And how do you see the future of this project? Is this agreement doomed to failure?
They will reach a failure, but again, it depends on how united we are, how united the Muslims are. But deep down, I know that something that is against humanity cannot go on forever. Injustice can go on forever. So I'm definitely optimistic in that sense that there is a day where all of this will be abolished. All this injustice will be abolished.
I hope so. Ending such human rights violations must mean ending the Zionist regime and replacing it with guarantees of full equal civil and political rights for everyone in historic Palestine. What do you think? How could we reach this point?
I'm not an expert on the two-state or the Zionist regime in that sense, in a political sense, but again, I'm not an expert in the two-state entity, but I would repeat and say that this Zionist regime cannot establish itself longer if it keeps on, hurting the Palestinians, killing the Palestinians, controlling the livelihood of the Palestinians. This I am aware of. Whether it's the century, the deal of the century, the entity, any other deal they might come up with, I'm sure that it will not go on forever. I personally believe in the power of resistance, and I'm sure that this entity will not go on if we just sit and do nothing. We have to resist, whether it's through money, whether it's through military-wise, and whether it's at the international conventions, human rights entities. We have to resist. That's what I truly believe. It is the choice of the Palestinians that they make. It is
Exactly.
concerning the two-state entity. It's not my decision. It's not anybody's decision. It's the Palestinians' decision whether they decide to go along with the two-state or not. It's not me.
Yes, but because somebody blames Palestinian for their own persecution by Israel.
I understand that. They're being blamed because they're not being united. That is the issue. And there is a vast, there's a big gap between the Palestinian Authority, Hamas, and other resisting groups in Palestine. We in Lebanon, I remember as a Lebanese, we've seen even how Palestinians have fought among each other in the camps, in the Palestinian camps in Lebanon. So I hope that they would unite. I hope that they would foresee the future as that their focus is Palestine and not their internal differences.
Thank you very much for the last question. Are you optimistic with the decline of Israel?
I am. But it will take time, and it will take resistance, and it will take a lot of blood. It will take a lot of money. It will take a lot of effort on our behalf. It doesn't happen because of people signing papers. No, it takes a lot of effort, a lot of bloodshed. That's what I believe.
You don't see it, in a near future or far future.
I'm not a person who can predict things, but as I said, well,
But you can analyze it.
at some point people will be fed up with being dealt with in an injustice way, and I hope that it will be over very soon. I hope.
Thank you very much. If you want to add something more, I'm all ears.
For having me on. It was a pleasure to be on
You're
your
welcome.
site, and I wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for taking your time, and God bless you and Mr. Talatwebe.
Thank you very much. God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Thanks for watching and catch you later.